Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, filler, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Hip hip hooray! It's mine and Tiffany's birthday. That's right, May 8th is our birthday. We share the same birthday, and we decided we wanted to celebrate with all of you. So we're doing this a little crazy style. May 7th at 12 p.m. Pacific, we're inviting you to join us at our virtual house party. That's right, it's going to be on Zoom where we get to see your cute faces, and as an added perk, it's going to be a live podcast. So bring those party hats, bring those questions, anything you've ever want answered on the podcast. This is the time, guys, and we cannot wait. So to register, hop on over to thedental18.com/house party. It's free, and we want all of you there because honestly, I'll be a little sad if only 2 people are there. So bring your friends, bring your teams. This is going to be a time for you to ask your questions and celebrate with us. We can't wait to bring in our birthday with you. Hello, Dental 18 listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, I am super excited to bring back on one of my favorite guests. She has worked really, really hard to get to where she is. I have done personal coaching with her. I've done in the office coaching with her. She's one of my heroes, one of my best friends. We actually are friends outside of just dentistry now. But she is someone that I'm super, super impressed by. And I've had her on the podcast before, but I'm bringing her back today because their practice has over 600 Google reviews in just a short amount of time. They were not bought. They were not bribed. They just have mastered how to have an incredible patient experience. So I'm super excited to welcome to the show, Cheryl Cornelius. How are you, Miss Cheryl?
Hey, Kiera, I am doing great. Thanks for having me back on. I always love getting to talk with you and just share, best practice and what we do here and what could help others. So thanks for bringing me back on again.
Of course, anytime. I love what you do. I love the energy you bring. And I love that. I would say the word I would describe you is resilient. It does not matter what life throws at you. You're going to come back with a better plan. And I feel like you were really good at pivoting. You'll switch gears, you'll change gears with always the intent to come up with the best outcome. And that's always what you're looking for. So I'm really, really excited to hear what you've got planned for today, to learn from you, to grow with you, and to dive into that. So kind of take it away. Give me some ideas of what you guys do differently in your practice that you found that really work well for you and your patients.
Yeah, I think this is actually you just gave me a great lead in as far as just saying that I'm resilient. One of the things that keeps me going, honestly, Kiera, is gratitude and always just bringing me back to what do I have that I'm grateful for, because there's always a lot going on that can distract you. And we actually start our day off here in the office at our morning huddle. Before we do anything else, I have everybody go around and share something that they, a moment of gratitude or something that they're grateful for. And I talked with them, one of the reasons that I want them to do this is I want them to be thinking about it on the way to work, because it kind of helps prepare you mentally. We all know that working in a dental practice can be exhausting on many different levels. And whether it's an early start or a big case that's coming in or maybe a difficult patient, just, as you're driving in, instead of listening to the news or thinking about all the things that you need to do, to just be thinking what am I going to share this morning? I want them to be very purposeful and saying what am I grateful for? So that's how we start our morning huddle out with, is just sharing a moment of gratitude. And then after we go through the gratitude with everybody, the very next thing we do is we celebrate wins. And that's looking at what we did the day before. And we all share, we take something that we saw, maybe there was a really great handoff, or maybe we were behind and somebody jumped in and we got ahead again. And it's really, just the team getting to compliment each other and saying hey, you did a really great job here. Or as a team, we were able to have success in this moment that it was kind of crashing and we were able to recover it and the patients left super happy. So that's how we start our days off in our morning huddle.
I love that. That's a really good way to start because I believe that momentum builds. So if we start with problems, we're probably going to have a day full of problems. If we start with gratitude, we're probably going to have a day of amazing. And even when things are rough, that's the filter that we started our day with. And so that's what we're going to see more so than a day filled with problems. So I love that you do that. And you guys, I should have probably done a little bit better of an intro for Cheryl. Cheryl is the wife and owner of a dental practice. Her husband is the dentist, and Cheryl runs a huge operation. They got a new building just recently. Cheryl, how many ops do you guys run in your practice?
We're running 9 on some days, not every day, but on some days we're running 9 ops. 9 ops. Okay. So they have this, they're also a fee for service practice, and they've just done it a little bit differently. So I wanted to make sure I put out there Cheryl's credentials, if you will, and she's just dang good at what she does. I love that Cheryl, you didn't have a lot of dental background with you when you came into this profession with your husband, and you've learned it. I feel like boots on the ground. So if anybody says they don't have dental experience, like Cheryl's a testament that you can learn this on the job, and if you just have enough grit and drive behind you. So Cheryl, awesome job on that. And thank you for sharing how you guys in your practice, that's something you do different, of starting it out with the wins, what you're doing differently in your practice, and acknowledging, I love that you said specifics, like a great handoff, or those little small specifics. You're building momentum of greatness that then people consciously or unconsciously will continue to remember throughout the day. Yeah, I think it does really make a difference with our team. We've been doing it since January of this year. It's not something that we've always done, and I can just definitely tell you that I see a huge difference in our team when we're thankful for what we have and focused on, what we have that's good in life rather than all the negative things, which it's easy to surround yourself with. So,
sure.
And really, you kind of had mentioned about our reviews, like a lot of our office is like, I am super passionate about offering our patients an absolutely incredible experience in the dental practice. And so our culture, our company culture in our office is just really going above and beyond for our patients. I loved one of Mylene's my front office girl, and she said something that I thought was super amazing. She said, we're the eyes for our patients. And she's really right. Like, looking out in the waiting room and seeing if they've been waiting too long, or if they're like a little bit antsy, or like all the different things, like for us to be able to give them an incredible experience, like we have to be looking like, what does it look like from the eyes of a patient? Because for us, it's easy to just, be knocking out our day-to-day tasks that we have to do. We know, they have to be done a certain way, or, checklists, at the end of the day, there's going to be checklists that we have to turn in. But if you're actually like kind of stepping into the patient's place and what is the patient seeing, what are they feeling, like then, that allows you to give them an experience of how you would want to be treated. And we talk about that a lot. Like if you go to a different office, whether it's medical or physical therapy or, whatever you're doing, like how are you treated, or how did you want to be treated? And I think that as a team member, understanding how your patient feels is huge in being able to give them that experience.
Oh, for sure. I love that phrase of we are the eyes for our patient. And I think if the front office really could see that they are, because the back office, they're in there. But I just love that. That's a good visual. It's a good way to see it. And I think I love that your culture, I've been in your practice and your culture is fantastic, I will say. I think my favorite little feature is you guys have this really awesome snack bar. It's not your traditional one that I see in most practices. It has really fantastic snacks of all different kinds. There's beverages, and they ask, do you prefer room temperature or cold? It's just the little teeny tiny details. And as I've been reading, I just read a book on Starbucks's leadership called It's Not Just About the Coffee. And one of their guiding principles is how can we make the customer experience easy and enjoyable? Like, what do people actually need and want? And Cheryl, I feel like at your dental practice, you guys do that. It's not just the flashy show, but like, what do people actually need and want? And you're focused on those very small, intricate details. And it's crazy because we don't think those small details matter. But I remember, and how long has it been? It's been a couple of years since I've been in your practice. And I still remember what your snack bar looked like. Or the old practice, it was sitting right by the checkout table. It was always stocked. Whenever patients checked in, it was always asked, do you want room temperature or cold water? You guys are in Texas. It's hot there. So like those small little details, even myself remembered I don't remember everything else. I don't remember what your ops looked like. I remember it's a nautical theme because it's blue. I don't remember all the other things, but what I did remember were those small details that were different than anywhere else I've ever visited, because that stood out to me and made it a different experience than anything I've ever had.
And I think that the patients notice that because for the most part, they've been in another dental office, so they have something to compare it to. And they're, a lot of times they didn't have a great experience for, whatever reason, whether, maybe insurance wasn't handled correctly or they had to wait. I mean, we hear a lot, like, oh, I had to wait an hour and a half, or like I had to wait forever to be seen. And so just like having that attention to detail to every little moment, like we use walkie-talkies in our office, and I know they're not a favorite for sure. Like I get that, but for our office, like it's part of the ability to be able to communicate with the back to the front. It's even from as little as we're op number 4 is ready for checkout. They'll be up in like a minute. And so then when they get walked up front, like we're not elbow deep in paperwork trying to figure something out. Like we're ready, like, oh, hi, Mrs. Johnson. How was your appointment today? I saw you had Lisa as your hygienist. How was that? And you're like sitting there ready for them instead of being like caught off guard or annoyed that like somebody just got brought to the front and you weren't ready for them. So I think definitely having like that communication and like from the time the patient like walks in all the way through the handoffs are going through, we're talking on the walkie-talkie short. It's not a lot, but like it allows for that really just a very efficient cycle of the patient going through. And then there's no surprises as far as like, oh, the patient got left in the room, or, oh, the patient's been sitting up front. Maybe to the patient, if they walk in and they checked in and then another patient walks in behind them and checks in, and then that patient got brought to the back and they're sitting there and they're like, well, I was here first and I've been sitting 5 minutes. What they don't know is that the patient that checked in after them is going to see a different provider than they were going to see. But even just having a simple conversation, Mrs. Jones, like, I want you to know that you've already been checked in. You're actually seeing Lisa today for your hygienist, and she's going to be ready in just a minute. They're wrapping up, so you're going to get brought back in just a minute. So, everybody knows that you're here, and, they can't wait to see you in the back. Then that eases their mind up rather than thinking like, oh, I got picked over and that other person went back, which is a lot of times what they're thinking.
It really is. And I always say, don't assume, but I also say, don't allow those problems to happen if you can avoid them. Be looking. But I think that that's also a proactive approach. You guys are very proactive instead of reactive. Instead of waiting for the patient to come up mad and then you explain it, you're proactive and you take the initiative to let them know what's going on and allowing them to have that right now. And I love that it's just a proactive versus a reactive approach that you guys do.
I think it's just being very conscientious of the patient's time. Like, we're super grateful that they made the choice to come to our office. We tell them that, especially with their first visit. We thank them for choosing our office and for letting us be their dental providers. And then just constantly being very conscientious of the patient's time. And as an office, like, we know how long a patient is going to be in for each appointment. And then we work very diligently in making sure that from the time, like when their appointment starts, that they're being brought back, that each, it's a kind of like a choreographed appointment from when they're checking in. We're very proactive on insurance before they come in. So rarely are we, having to spend a lot of time dealing with the insurance. Like, they come in, we're checking them in, we're getting them to the back, and then the provider is seeing them if there's assistant time, and then bringing them up and checking them out. And that is commented a lot. It's just like, wow, I got in and out so fast. I didn't have to, spend hours sitting there. And I think that, we all are busy. I'm busy. You're busy. Like, I don't want to go spend hours at an appointment when I could be doing other things. And so I think that the patients, they're shocked that we would even go that extra mile to care about actually keeping our word. When we say it's an hour appointment, it's an hour appointment. If we say, if it was going to be a 2-hour appointment, it's a 2-hour appointment. And then they know, okay, I can count on them. And I think it builds trust as well. We're as a dental provider, I think there's a lot of distrust. And, when we present treatment, sometimes, do they really need it? Is the doctor just buying another boat? Right. And when we are when we're keep our word on our time, it's just one small factor in the big picture of we truly have their best interest at heart. And we're really, trying to give them the best experience and take care of them to the best that we can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I love that you mentioned that this is it's being conscientious of their time It's being conscious of them as a patient. You're building that trust. And like I said before, it's momentum. Good acts are really easy and you got to keep doing them. Bad acts, it takes a lot more good acts to make up for one bad act. And so it's really just about the way you guys are perceived, the way you do business. And it's all about the patient. Again, going back to that book I read about Starbucks, is they ask themselves continually, like, what does the customer want and need? And I think you guys do a really good job switching to dental of what does the patient actually want? What do they care about? What are the things that bother them or that frustrate them in other practices? And then being super, super diligent about those facts to make it be a different experience. Because I think instead of you just saying like, well, this is what we want to do, you're actually thinking about what that patient's experiencing and what they want to be experiencing and then delivering on that. Because I hate going to an appointment and I sit there and I wait and I do watch the clock and I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand. But then it gets to a point where you're like, and now I'm frustrated. So you've got to work really hard to win me over and make me like you. But I mean, even simple things as being on time or staying committed to it. And we can justify and give excuses of dentistry's like non-predictable. And I'm like, a lot of times it's just poor time management or that we didn't have our systems in place. So things work like clockwork, and that's on us. It's not necessarily the unpredictability of dentistry.
And I think too, like this is an important time to just stop and say, like, we do make mistakes. Like, it sounds beautiful to say, like, we're very conscientious of patients' time, and we are the eyes of the patient, and we strive for that every day. But we are human, and we are a large team of people working together. And sometimes one of us drops the ball. And with our team, like I tell them, like, and I lead by example, like, if you do make a mistake, like, just own it. Our patients are human too. And to like be able to just stop and say, Mrs. Jones, I am so sorry. Whatever it is, like, I didn't have your insurance correctly, or I should have called and I was going to call you and ask for something and I didn't, I got distracted, or just owning the situation and, just saying like, I'm really sorry, will you forgive me? And then asking, what can I do to make it better? This is actually something I do with my kids. It's like a parenting thing. But when we apologize and we say, I'm sorry, and we ask for forgiveness, and then going that next step and saying like, what can I do to make it better? You would be amazed at how much grace our patients will give us. Then all of a sudden they're not like, they instead of being like super reactive and angry, they're like, oh, you know what? It's okay. It's fine. I'm just having a bad day or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, like we can move forward because maybe we did make a mistake. Maybe we did make them wait too long. Maybe the doctor was in another surgery or there was some emergency and we did really have to make them wait half an hour longer. Like just owning it, letting them know what's going on, and then asking like how can we make it better? It goes so far, and really I think it helps as well. Letting them know like, hey, we're real people and we do really like we mean what we say and we want to make it right. So what can we do to make it right?
Gotcha. I love that. Okay. So you guys have then, you were saying, starting your morning huddle out with gratitude and the positive wins. Then being very conscientious of your patient and delivering an amazing patient experience that your patients just rave about. And they do. It's something different. Any other additional tips or tricks or things that you guys have found that work really well that you would want to share? Because I already love what you've shared so much. I think it's so fantastic, and they're simple. They're things that you can implement immediately, and they don't take a lot of extra time. It's just being, I think, dedicated to doing it is what it comes down to. Hello, Dental A Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, right now is the time to get your operations manual done. I just did a podcast, Operations Manual 2.0. Be sure to listen to that. And if you're like me, sometimes that task can feel daunting, which is why the coaching team, the Dental A Team coaching team, put together, you got it, Wednesday workshop for the next 4 weeks, starting on April 15th. We'll be running these at 12 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday workshop, where we're getting your operations manual done. We're taking you through step by step to ensure within 4 weeks, you actually get that operations manual done with accountability, with traction, and with ease. So be sure to join us. It's free for all. So there is no reason you shouldn't join us and get that operations manual done. Wednesday workshops every Wednesday starting on April 15th, running through May 6th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Pop on over to thedentalateam.com/strategy to join our webinar series. Can't wait to see you guys there on Workshop Wednesday.
Yeah, the only other thing that I think is kind of fun that we do that I'm going to just throw out there for other teams, like for like managers or doctors, is that I actually once a week I treat my team to lunch, and I don't I actually keep it in house. A lot of times I do a salad bar, or we do like order in pizzas, and we just sit around the table and we share a meal together. And that really has that's something we started doing in this new office. And it's something like the girls will say, like, it's so nice to not have to think about like preparing a meal or, bringing lunch in. And it really just gets you to just sit around and like kind of laugh and talk and get to know each other on a deeper level. And I think that is like part of the culture in our office, is that we are like, we spend a lot of hours working together. And so it's fun to kind of just laugh and share lunch, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I know going out to eat can be very expensive. And so like I've been creative and, crock pot, like sometimes like we'll just do like a big pot of like nacho cheese, and everybody will kind of do like potluck. So it doesn't even have to be like super expensive for the doctor. We love food in our office. And so we all love like, bringing in different things that we can make, but it's kind of fun to just sit down together and eat and laugh. And I think like I see so much team unity being built during that time. And I've loved it. And I've gotten just amazing feedback from our team that they love. Even gratitude in the morning, sometimes they'll be like, I'm so grateful for our lunch that we're going to have today. So I love sharing that meal with them and just taking time to say like, hey, you guys are important. Like, let's just, eat, and you don't have to think about going out for lunch today.
That is fun, Cheryl. I love that because I know a lot of offices that will treat their team to lunch. However, that lunch is usually rushed. It's like in between patients, and it's like, great, there's pizza back there, but like hurry and go eat it real fast and then come over here. But it sounds like you guys are, once again, intentional on doing this. And Cheryl, you're a mom of a lot of kids, and I love that because I come from a big family as well. And I know in our coaching, we've worked a lot on getting your whole family together for meals because that's a big part of your life. And honestly, growing up with a huge family dinner was a huge deal for my family. And I felt like it made us very close as a family. And that's the time that we'd laugh. That's the time that we'd, have hard times and we'd work through it together. It's the time that when you're in a bad mood and the whole family's like razzing you and you're so angry, but then you start laughing by the end of dinner. It's just a really magical time. And even in my undergrad, I studied a lot about how family mealtime actually can cement a family together so much, and there's a lot of psychology behind it. And what I love is you've kind of created that atmosphere in your office over lunch, and it doesn't sound like it's a rushed event. It sounds like it's very much a planned. There's another office, and they call it Dip Thursday, and everybody brings in different dips that they want to share. So it's like a chili dip, a nacho dip, all these different dips, and it's really fun. And everybody gets excited about it. And I love that you said it doesn't have to be expensive for the doctor, but it's just a way to bring your team together and to create that unity. Cheryl, in that same breath, I said it doesn't have to be expensive for the doctor. Last year, you worked your tail off to have a profitable practice. And I was curious, and I wanted to point that out because you're not a lavish office in the sense that you're not also like you go above and beyond for your patients. You go above and beyond for your team. You also are a very incredibly profitable practice. And I will tell you guys, it's not just because you're fee for service, because I know a lot of people be like, yeah, but they're fee for service. No wonder. You actually take a lot of write-offs. You do a lot of different things. It's not as profitable as just like slam dunk fee for service. I know you have a lot of things. Are there any things from last year that you'd want to share of how you guys were able to become a more profitable practice while still doing this amazing VIP care? Because I think so many people say, well, if I'm going to do amazing patient care, amazing team care, then I can't be as profitable as a business. And it's instead of it being an and, it's an either or. I'm either super generous with my team and with my patients and I'm not profitable, or, it's not, I can be super generous with my patients and my team and run a profitable practice. And you're a testament of that. What kind of tips or things did you learn last year that helped you guys become that way in your practice?
One of the first things that I tackled that actually just shocked me was how much we were being overcharged on so many different, with different like third-party providers or different things. And I think this is the normal in just about every office. Like somebody is paying the, like somebody's like putting together the bill and the doctor's just signing the check and then putting it in, and he's trusting, that's the money needs to go where it needs to go. And it's not being done maliciously at all. Like I don't have any ill feelings that anybody was trying to do that, but it's just so easy to just write a check. And this actually carries over, I think, into personal as well. Like you're just paying your bills. Like you maybe don't question, like, is that fee supposed to be on there? Am I supposed to be charged for this? And so I just started going, like, every invoice that came in, looking at it, like, are we supposed to be paying that fee, like calling them and, calling different companies and be like, I'm confused why I'm being charged for this. A lot of times it was just like clerical errors and they're like, oh, no, you're not, like, let me get that fixed for you. So that was like low hanging fruit. Like we talk about, different like low hanging, high hanging fruit. Like for me, that was very, very low hanging fruit, was just kind of going through like what we were spending our money on. And then the other thing, and this is a higher level, but you can produce all the money in the world. You can, say like, oh, we're producing, we're a $3 million practice. We produced $3 million last year. That's great. But how much did you collect? And then how much did you spend? And I think like having somebody in the practice that actually understands all three of those touch points, obviously we have to produce because that is where the money is coming from, but then we have to collect. And are we billing the insurance correctly? Do we have systems in place for how we're billing our patients? If you are making, doctor courtesy adjustments or write-offs, like, are those actually being done correctly? And then, how much money are we spending? Like, do we need 15 boxes of toner ink because on Amazon Prime, at some point we needed it and someone subscribed to it and they've just been coming every single month and no one's questioned that they're piling up in a cabinet in the back. And again, like nobody did it maliciously. No one was like, oh, I just want to spend the doctor's money. But to just question, like, I think like that's what I always encourage my team is like, ask why. Like, why do we have 15 boxes of toner ink back here? We don't even have this printer anymore.
Right.
And if team members would, if you see something that doesn't make sense, like, hopefully you're in an office where asking why, is appreciated. I love my team asking why, because often, like we said earlier, that we are the eyes for our patients. Like my team is, my eyes in so many ways of like this practice being successful. So I need them to look at something and say, why is this happening? Or why are we spending this? And then at least that raises a red flag. And I can go, that's a good question. I don't know. Let me figure that out. Oh, we've been subscribing to that on Amazon Prime. And, I'm guilty of Amazon, even though my home, like I've subscribed to things and, my husband will be like, why are we getting this? And I'm like, oh, I think I subscribed to that a couple months ago. So it happens like to all of us. It happens on a personal level. It happens on a business level. But those are a lot of just low hanging fruit that I found in our office because, nobody was like, no, like not in a malicious or mean way, but just nobody cared at all. And so to like really reverse that mindset in our team and be like, hey, I care. Like if we're profitable, then we have, there's more money for us to like pass back to you guys. Like if it's not coming in, it's not going out. And it's, everybody that's here, is here because, we want you on the team. Like we value you, like you have a position here, like let's like celebrate that. And like, let's, all move forward together as a team. And so I think that helping your team understand, like, to have that safe place to say like, I noticed that this, this company over here is charging this. I don't think we're using these services. Okay, like let's check. Maybe we're not using them. Maybe we were and we canceled them, but no one actually made the phone call to cancel. And so we're still being charged. Those were just, like Kiera, like about tens of thousands of dollars that I found just kind of laying around. And I think that's, even supplies, supplies is a huge, I did not personally tackle supplies. Val's our lead assistant, and she's a rock star with our supplies. But it's easy to like order and then have things expire, and so even just simple systems of like when you get your new order in, like the new goes in the back and the back moves to the front, so that we're not throwing away $300 worth of expired supplies because now we can't use them. Not overbuying, just because it's buy 3 get 2 free if we buy. So we now have 5, but we never we're never going to use those 5 in a timely manner. We really only needed 1. Just like the mindset of, using what we need. And if we just lean, kind of, trim and slim, lean. If we don't need it, don't buy it. Understanding how, what you need to practice. And we do, our patients love like all the amenities that we give them. Like we do a lot for them, but we don't have a lot of waste. Like if we don't need it, we don't have it in the office.
I like that. Those are such easy things. And I think it's just a matter of being self-mastery of doing it. Because as I heard that, I was like, oh gosh, like I don't look at my expenses that closely. It's like, yeah, well, we just bought it. It's fine. And today I was going through my P&L in pretty strong detail with one of my coaches. And she's like, well, what's this number for? And I'm like, I honestly have no idea. She's like, well, what are you spending this for? Why are your merchant fees so high? And I was like, I honestly have no idea. And that was just me turning a blind eye to the business. And I feel like that laziness on my part, in all sincerity, it is true laziness because I just don't enjoy doing it. It's not hard. It's not like I don't have time to do it. I have time for everything that I view as important. That's just me being not a good steward over what I have. And I love that you said that's low hanging fruit because those simple little things, going from a 2.8% merchant fee down to a 2.4% merchant fee might not sound like a lot, but that will save thousands of dollars over the course of the year in that small little thing that we're like, oh, it's fine. Or that, silly little Amazon music for $9.99 a month that I'm not really using. Sure, that's $120 a year. That's really like, come on, Kiera, is it really that big of a deal? No, it's not. But when you have 10 of those items stacked within each other, that's $1,200. And that's where it adds up. And so I think it's also just a practice of who you are as a person as well. I had a friend tell me, and I don't think this is totally true, but I think a lot of it, I think of it often. She told me, Kiera, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I hate that because it's like, if I'm going to be lazy in that, I'm lazy in the other areas of my life. And so I think it's just a matter of, Cheryl, I love that you have become very intentional. You have a lot of grit and you're determined. And so I love that those small little percentages pay off over time and allow you. But what I love is that you didn't wait until you had the funds to be more profitable to give the great employee experience and the great patient experience. You guys were already doing that before. And I think that that's also, again, a state of mind that you live in. So the gratitude, the abundance mindset, and then being a wise steward over what you've been given, I feel are some of the best takeaways that I took from today's podcast. And I just appreciate you sharing all that you did.
Well, thanks. It's always, I think we all can learn from each other. So I love listening to your podcast and I love hearing what others have to say. Like a lot of what I have learned over the last 5 years has been, listening to what others have done, like going before me. And I think, if we all have that mindset, like, abundance mindset, you just mentioned it, like total abundance mindset, like what we have and what we've learned and what works for us. Like, if that helps somebody else, like, I just love that. I love that you take the time to do the podcast and you get just amazing people on that share such, great tidbits of information that we can take. And, maybe it's not everything, it's just 1 or 2 things, but just taking that and applying it it's encouraging. It's also great to hear like other people are having the same issues that we're having. It's
right.
Not, we are all, experiencing very similar things and, we all have a lot to share and a lot to learn from each other. So I love your podcast. Thanks for doing it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on it. And I think the way we're going to wrap this one up today is you just said it's applying it. And since you're from Texas, my dad's a total cowboy. I think a good analogy is my dad would always tell me, Kiera, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And so this podcast, the things that you just shared, Cheryl, will be great to listen to, but you're truly going to see this if you go and apply it, just like you said, Cheryl. So all of you apply something from today. I don't care what you choose from this podcast, but apply, because you can listen to this all day long, but a true decision is made when action has been taken. So decide today to take action on something. And Cheryl, as always, thanks for being a light in the world of dental, for being somebody who's so giving of your time and your ideas and your resources. Honestly, you share like a machine, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Thanks for being one of my dearest friends. And Dental A-Team listeners, thank you. And we'll catch you next time on the Dental A-Team podcast. And that that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.